Kami Saraki, people from all places and races. It's actually a bit unexpected to do something like this. We haven't seen in a while after everything that has been celebrated and other Rabbids Fandom Day. And currently, I'm on my way out, having to pack up everything in order to move on and continue to the next stop of my life, if we can call it that. And I would not like to delay it anymore. After all this, we've decided to release a few more videos as a way to finish this entire channel on a good note, including one that is specially being made for September 21st. But unlike the others, these videos aren't going to be all that big and complicated. They're mostly just small talks and small projects that we've intended to release for a very long time now. And we would and we're trying to release something for today, something for tomorrow, and probably something else for past tomorrow. And then let's see how it goes. Updates are going to be a bit irregular compared to what has been done before. But let's not think about that. And we're going to focus on what we came here today. So, we wanted to discuss a few Rabbid-related topics that have been on our mind for a bit in recent history, and well, let's begin. So, we've been thinking about the Rabbids movie once more, and it's all because of Tom and Jerry. Let us explain. So a few weeks back, it was revealed that China was going to get a theatrical 3D CGI animated movie of Tom and Jerry called Tom and Jerry Forbidden Compass, which was a collaboration between Warner Brothers Discovery and China Film Group Co. And the movie looks actually quite outstanding. It recently released back in the first days of August. Seems to be having a bit of success over there, and from the critical reception, seems like it's just fine, just okay. Definitely better than the other theatrical films that have been released till now. And that got us thinking in something, and is what if the Rabbids took the same approach when it comes to making their movie? As mentioned before in that long video, it would have been way better to get a proper animated film, theatrical animated film of the Rabbids. Everyone here would agree. And well, we are supposedly not getting that because it's supposedly going to be a live-action animated hybrid with Lionsgate and Mandeville Films and folks that worked at Robot Chicken. But no, there hasn't been any updates till now. It's expected to be cancelled and stuff like that. But wouldn't it be better if the movie was made in another country with you could say another company with a more specific audience in mind? Because well, if it's working very well for Tom and Jerry in these last few years, I don't think it would be a bad thing to work on the Rabbids, because Forbidden Compass isn't the only project that has been done as a collaborative work with another country, because we also got Hurry Hurry Tom and Jerry, which is a Singapore-made animated series of shorts, which were absolutely amazing, and we also got a collaboration with the Japanese animation, which is Tom and Jerry Goko, which is this chibi series of shorts that they kind of remind us of the Sanrio characters. It's adorable. It's not what you would, contrary to the other two, it's not what you would expect from Tom and Jerry, but it's very cute, it's very charming. It's a cute little treat, and I think Certainly, one could say it doesn't fit with the brand or anything, but nobody's against it. Even some of the most hardcore Tom and Jerry fans are like, yeah, it's kind of neat. But yeah, back to the point. We've been thinking that it would be a good idea if the current theatrical Rabbids movie, a new one, would be done inside Ubisoft with another country in mind and with another company. But this time it would be in a more independent manner and with a more audience, with a more specific focused audience. The most obvious option would be France, because that's the origin of the Rabbids. We're talking about uh, Ubisoft. Ubisoft is a French company that just happens to have many subsidiaries all over the world, but it is a company founded in France. And so is Michel Ancel and a lot of the teams that were behind the various Rabbids games. So yeah, it will be a Chinese animated movie, and there is a ton of talent when it comes to French animated films. So yeah, we've been thinking about that a lot. Could be a French-made Rabbids movie that could release there first, and then it could be distributed all around the world by some other company, or just by Lionsgate if they still got the rights. I mean, imagine that. It would be a lot easier, a lot cheaper. It would be, have better liberty, a better understanding of the characters and stuff. Yeah, but then there was another idea in mind, and that is China. Why China? For starters, we already have, technically speaking, a French-made Rabbids project, theatrical Rabbids project, and that is Mission to Mars. Not many remember this, but Mission to Mars, as well as the entirety of Rabbids Invasion, was done in France with a French animation studio, France Television. And Mission to Mars, that is the special slash movie that serves as the epilogue of the series, was actually released over there in various theaters. In France, of course. Although it was distributed in Netflix internationally. And, well, a French-made Rabbids movie has already been done. So another one could be neat. But then comes China. And this is where I want to get. There's an interesting thing to consider. Now, supposedly, the Rabbids Invasion show and the Rabbids as a whole are very popular over there because of the existence of Rabbids Party of Legends. Remember, that game was a Chinese exclusive at the time. And it took a few years to be developed and just another year to get it internationally. As well as there are even a few pieces of exclusive merch over there that are kind of neat, like these small red figures that Nintendo showed us once. They're kind of sweet. So it was on our mind, what if China decided to step in and said, we're going to work with Ubisoft, we're going to make a Rabbids movie that is done for Chinese audiences, and probably it's going to be animated. And there was something odd that came to our mind, and that is, what would it be about? Because the most likely thing is that it's going to be centered around Chinese mythology. Mostly stuff like Journey to the West. Because that story has been adapted tons of times over there. And well, China always loves to highlight their mythos, their mythology, their ancient history, and that's fantastic. But there is a catch here. The thing is, if they did take that route, which is most likely, and if something like that did happen, I think the thing would be that the story would be an adaptation of Journey to the West. Now, why do I raise an eyebrow right now? And it's that the thing is that has already been done. Rabbids Party of Legends. So the thing is that if there is a Chinese-made Rabbids movie, it's most likely going to be an adaptation of Journey to the West, and well, that has already been that already has happened before, and well, I don't think it would be that good or interesting of an idea, since we already have seen the adaptation of the story before. And unless they come up with something a bit different or a way to properly expand the story that was seen in Party of Legends, I don't see if it would be a very interesting case. Now, let's say I'm just being an old bum and saying that I'm just being a bit boring. Well, the thing is, let's say that has happened and I'm just being grumpy. It's If that happens, then it would be an adaptation of Party of Legends. Basically, it's mostly going to take elements from that, since it is the Chinese-made Rabbids game, and it will be very odd that a major theatrical Rabbids adaptation was based on Party of Legends, which is not a bad game, but it's not a game that people would have in mind, not even Rabbids fans would have in mind, to adapt first. If it necessarily has to be an adaptation of one of the games, there's always the two main options that come to mind. You can ask any Rabbids fan: go home or travel in time. And I just want to remind you all that Adventure Party, aka Party of Legends, is technically a sequel to Travel in Time. So it will be a bit off to adapt that story first and not Travel in Time as a way to introduce, the time washing machine. It's not a bad thing, but as mentioned before, it would be an odd choice, and I don't think it would be an all that, you could say, how can we explain this? It would be very, you could say, fitting, or more so, it wouldn't have that liberty, that unexpected factor that we would expect from a Rabbids movie, since folks could just look at this: oh, it's just an adaptation of Party of Legends, and it's just another adaptation of Journey to the West. So I don't know how folks can make it stand out, because I've said before, there has been a lot of adaptations of that ancient tale, and we have already seen that story adapted in another game, which, as mentioned before, it wouldn't be the first pick of many to adapt before any of other iconic Rabbids stories. Not to mention that Party of Legends isn't really a popular game, you could say. It's not really all that important or that iconic compared to other Rabbid titles, like the previously mentioned Travel in Time and Go Home, as well as Alive and Kicking and the original trilogy of Rayman Rabbit Rabbids titles. So, yeah. That is the thing. Unless they take a different approach and just use the Chinese methods to adapt the Rabbids. And I don't know, they use some other tale, like, let's say, Romance of the Three Kingdoms. That could work as well. Even though in our eyes, that would be, Romance of the Three Kingdoms could be the perfect story to adapt in a possible Party of Legends sequel. We'll leave it right there. But yes, that is a thing to consider. That is a thing that is on our minds. I don't know what you folks say. The second point we want to touch upon is something that was based around a video that was, more so a series of videos that were done by Regal Z. In case you don't recognize who this fella is, Regal Z is probably one of the biggest Rayman YouTubers over there in Latin America. Has been a truly iconic member of the Rayman community over there as of late, and we've mentioned him from time to time in some of our videos. Like, remember Love You Little Fandom? So, in his videos, he's known for being someone that is very, you could say, cold-headed when it comes to thinking about the Rayman topics and just the state of the franchise in general. And one of the things that is a very good lesson that he wanted us to listen is how we shouldn't always say that Rayman is dead, and all that kind of stuff, because a franchise only dies, and the memories you have with it only die when you forget about them. And something that he brings up is that a lot of the Rayman titles are very accessible in terms of official and unofficial releases. When it comes to the official, we know that the 5 mainline Rayman games are available online via Steam, as well as Rayman Rabbids. Also, there's the retrocompatibility that is found in the different consoles, current gen consoles like Switch 2, the Xbox consoles, the PlayStation 5, that gives you access to the UbiArt games at least. And in the case of the Xbox, you can also get access to Rayman 3 HD. And as well, and when it comes to unofficial releases, you can say there's always chances to run the official games via emulators, or also play some of the ports that were done by folks inside the Rayman community, like for example Rayman Redemption or Rayman Garden Plus. And that kept us thinking, and the thing is that Regal comes up with an excellent argument. I 100% agree with the points. It's a great lesson, but that can only apply to Rayman, and it cannot be applied to the Rabbids. What are we trying to say with this? Here goes. As mentioned before, Regal says that Rayman isn't going anywhere because you can of course play all the games easily in different platforms because of emulation, official releases that are still there. Like, you can still enjoy the games. And I understand the logic and I understand the point. But then it comes, and then I decided to think about the Rabbids, and then we said, wait a minute, this cannot be applied with us. Because the thing is that a lot, if not almost all, the Rabbids games are stuck in their original releases. So let's analyze the situation. We take the first Rayman Raving Rabbids out of the question, because that is available on PC. It can still be accessed. Not to mention that it was available in a lot of other consoles, and we do believe it forms part of the retrocompatibility list of Xbox. So yes. But then it comes to the other titles, and Rayman Raving Rabbids 2 and TV Party are basically stock on Nintendo Wii, as well as on the Nintendo DS. But we're mostly focusing on the home console releases. And Rayman Raving Rabbids 2 has a PC port, but that one's incomplete, as we all know by now. Then you also think of Go Home, which is the same case. Has a PC port, but it's incomplete. It's basically stuck on the Wii and the DS. Travel in Time, still on the DS, 3DS and the Wii. Then you think Alive and Kicking, Land, and all the others, and they're all in their respective consoles, and there isn't really an easy way to play them. And one could say it's not that difficult to maybe adapt them or play them, but when you actually stop and think about it, this franchise may have one of the worst lucks when it comes to re-releases, which is something that we're going to touch upon next. But here it goes. The reason why we say that the mindset that Regal is trying to apply inside the Rayman franchise and the lesson that he wants to give to the Rayman community doesn't apply with the Rabbids is because, unfortunately, the Rabbids franchise is very hard to adapt when it comes to the control schemes and the gameplay styles in the current times. Let's say that Ubisoft announces that they're re-releasing a bunch of their older titles to current gen consoles. Let's say that one of the Rabbids games is coming to Switch 2. And the thing is, what options are there? Think about it. Alive and Kicking, Land, Rumble, and even Interactive TV Show are all impossible to adapt. They're all impossible to port, not because of graphical power, but because of the gimmicks they have. Remember, Land uses the gamepad, Rumble uses the double screen of the 3DS. Alive and Kicking uses the Kinect, and the same thing applies for Interactive TV Show, which also uses the PlayStation camera for the PS4 version. So they're impossible to adapt. And the same would apply to some of the other titles, which unfortunately haven't been ported. Stuff like Big Bang or Rabbit Heroes, they can be adapted. And then we also think of other games in the franchise, like Rayman Rabbids 2, TV Party, Go Home, and Travel in Time. And we think with the exception of Go Home, which we've seen that can be adapted, I don't think the others could be ported or adapted, because they have so ingrained the design of the console in mind that a port could actually somewhat ruin the experience. The incredible gimmicks that the franchise had is both a blessing and a curse, because it has created some of the most unique gaming experiences that you could have, even if it's mostly for the party game genre. But unfortunately, those gimmicks cause these games to be stuck in their respective platforms because they're way too difficult to adapt without losing the core of what makes it special. Because even if someone said out there, we would like to make a PC port of Alive and Kicking, we do believe it would be something very hard to do. Porting Xbox 360 titles wouldn't be as difficult, but by that you'd also have to make an alternative for what would be the Kinect in order to register the movement of the camera, and the movement of all the body movements that you're going to do for all the mini games. And frankly, we don't see that as something very viable, because it's way too difficult. Why would you want to set up an entire setup that involves having to get an original copy of the game, having to burn it, port it? You need to get a special type of camera, open a space, maybe connect and link in some other stuff in order to play a party game that we don't know if it's all that worth it for you in this case. So yes, it's kind of sad that the Rabbids franchise really has this curse that it cannot be ported, that almost all of their games cannot be ported because they would lose a lot of what makes them special. And we want to clarify that we don't have anything against Regal. We have a lot of care for him, and the lessons that he always teaches us all in his videos are fantastic. But sorry, pal, that mindset can only apply to the Rayman titles, and for other franchises similar to Rayman. To the Rabbids, that cannot apply. We are unable to enjoy a lot of the games, and sadly, that may just be the end of it. So, anniversaries, am I right? Anniversaries. As of right now, we are close to Rayman's 30th anniversary. And right now, we cannot say with certainty what are we cannot think of the entire schedule or plans that Ubisoft has for the franchise. The only thing we know right now is that for September 3rd, we're gonna get a special anniversary event for Brawlhalla that features brand new skins and emotes and some cool stuff that you can get in honor of Rayman's 30th anniversary. Because we know that Rayman is a playable character in Brawlhalla. Yeah, that's a neat start. And of course, we're getting Rayman Alive, the fan event that puts together hundreds of Rayman fans to show off all the love with their projects dedicated to the Limitless Lad. Let's hope and see what happens. But yes, whatever happens with Rayman is gonna be good enough. Right now, the state of the franchise is good. It's better than it was many years ago, let's say 2019, 2020. And we can describe it on one simple phrase, and it's slow but steady. Because there slowly has been content going along in various media as well as merch, but it'll take us a while to get an actual proper game. And we do believe that if there is going to be a new release, it will be at least probably to the end of 2025 or at least 2026, and maybe something else by 2027. You know, those rumors and leaks that are around there. We can't say with certainty what comes after, what comes first, but we can assure you that there will be something, and this anniversary at least is gonna be somewhat good, thanks to what the current plans are, some surprises here and there, and what the fans have prepared. Well, yeah, there's not much to comment about Rayman's 30th anniversary. But then comes the Rabbids one. And that's where the story changes. This is something we have been thinking about a lot, and we do believe, well, not believe, also what has been seen and has been commented and have been told to us. It seems that we may not be getting much for the Rabbids 20th anniversary. One of the major things to consider is that currently Ubisoft is being restructured. They're trying to flip all the switches and change all the gears in order to have a financial stability. If there's no other way to describe that. But yes, we already know about stuff like how Soliani and a lot of the team from Mario Bros. Rabbids are currently in a new studio, independent studio, that Milan and Montpellier are working on something Rayman related. There are other releases that are done by independent teams, like for example, The Rogue Prince of Persia, that is going to come out very, very soon. And we do believe that's going to be shown on Gamescom. And also some other stuff that's been going around, the projects that some more Ubisoft projects that will be shown at Gamescom, other stuff. And well, with all this restructure and with the current plans that the company has, we don't think there's going to be much for the 20th anniversary. And we do believe it could even be delayed, in the sense that it could not be celebrated on 2026, but rather 2027, which would be the 21st anniversary. And one of the things is that as mentioned previously, is the restructuring, and the other thing is because in terms of dates. Rayman and Mario celebrate both their anniversaries in September 13th and 1st respectively. Rayman is getting stuff slow but steady, said before. Mario is definitely getting stuff, there's no denying of that. But the Rabbids their anniversary would be in November. And yes, and it's actually late November, because remember that the first ever Rayman Raving Rabbids game was a launch title for Nintendo Wii, and that was released back in 2006 in November, and some places even in December. So yes, we don't think there could be much for the 20th anniversary. It could be basically delayed, and even if there is a delay, we don't really think there's going to be much fuzz about it. There's not going to be something like a major release or something big to highlight. And that comes with part of the topic that was previously mentioned about the ports. As mentioned before, Rabbids ports would be very hard to make because of the engineering they have behind. Let's be honest, if you had to pick one game that objectively should be ported over to newer consoles, it would be Rabbids Go Home. That has been said time and time again. We're gonna talk about that a little bit after. But yes, yes, it would either be that, or it would either be that, maybe travel in time, since it did introduce one of the most iconic elements of the Rabbids franchise, or something from the original Rayman and Rainbow Rabbids trilogy, probably the first game or an entire trilogy. But yeah, that would be as far as sports could go, and even then, it would be in the scale of go home, as in unlikely but certainly possible, to travel in time that goes like, and Rayman and Rainbow Rabbids, as in could happen, could not, and to a TV party, we don't know if it could even happen in the first place. But yes, we're gonna talk about Go Home a bit later. And yes, we don't see much happening on the 20th anniversary of the franchise. We could be seeing stuff like probably a special drawing for the 20th anniversary in November. There is going to be another volume of the Rabbids comics, because they are still going over there in France. Yes, there was one released a few months ago. They're still going over there, and that would honestly. Oh no, one more thing, one more collab. There will be one more collab, but after that, we don't really see much happening when it comes to the franchise right now. It seems that it isn't that much of a priority. So, yeah. We've been thinking once more about a Rabbids Go Home re-release. Something that every Rabbids fan and just everyone we know wants. And we support this idea 100%. We made a video long ago about how a re-release should be done, with better customization, better graphics, and some quality of life features. But as time went on, we've been thinking about the current state of Ubisoft and everything, and we do believe that a simple remaster similar to the 20th anniversary of Beyond Good and Evil would be more than enough. Probably with some extra things like, I don't know, some extra unlockable cosmetics based on other Rabbids games, or some way to unlock those old code-specific Rabbids that you can only get with some pre-orders. Remember those? Verminator documented about those some time ago, and now we got all the codes that can be used on the Wii version. But it would be interesting that in a re-release, there could be already codes that easy to unlock online, and just readapt the codes to the new control scheme would just be unlockable inside the game by reaching certain objectives or finishing the game. Stuff like that. So that could be done. But if there's something that, if a re-release is done, if there's something that should be highlighted, is 2 words: time trial. Also, time attack. Everybody remembers that Rabbids Go Home is an insane game, and the Wii version is not very known for the speedrunner community. But the PC one, the PC port is absolutely incredible when it comes to speedrunning. The history behind the speedrunning of Rabbids Go Home for PC is legendary. It may be one of the things that has kept the memory of the game alive outside of memes and the iconic music. And we do believe that a re-release should highlight the speedrunner community and have an extra time trial mode for individual levels and probably for the entire game, because it would be fantastic. Regardless on what console it would be available, it will most likely be available for Switch 1 or 2. That would mark a brand new category that could give more people a way to not only play the game, but to join the speedrunning community of the game. there is a video that documents the history behind the Rabbids Go Home speedrunning. And frankly, it would be fantastic if somehow we got a sequel to the legendary battle that Kokodago and Jaxler had for a long time inside the PC version of the game. So imagine that. A sequel to that, but in the re-release and with a brand new category that is done for not only the full game, but also for the individual levels. That has to be done. That should be a highlight. As mentioned before, the speedrunning community has been one of the reasons why this game is still remembered to this day. And the fight that Jaxler and Kokodago have is simply legendary inside this small niche fandom of Rabbids Go Home speedrunning. So, yes. Once more, speedrunning should be a highlight for a Rabbids Go Home re-release. No questions asked. Now as I went to a way to end the video, there isn't much to say anymore. Maybe some personal thoughts. And it would be fantastic if somehow not only we would get a re-release of one of the classic titles, We Go Home, but we could have some small Rabbids game that can be played by many folks that we could enjoy for the 20th anniversary. It would be neat. We would take a port of Rabbids Legends of the Multiverse, because it's no joke that game has only been played by 5 people. It's not a joke. We've seen only videos from 5 people playing the game in PvP mode, the entire history, the entire story mode. It's frankly, it's frankly something kind of sad to see. Even Party of Legends had more coverage when it comes to videos, because you can find a lot of gameplay videos, there are a lot of reviews, but Legends of the Multiverse is practically forgotten. There are not even inside the Rabbids fandom is being mentioned. So yes, we do believe that it is necessary to have a proper port for consoles, because it isn't the first time wouldn't be the first time that a game that was made inside Apple Arcade would be ported over to our systems. TMNT Splinter Fate, Fantasia Near Dimension, Shantae 5, and yeah, I do believe there's other titles that could be highlighted. Hello Kitty Island Adventure that also got ported over, so yeah. We would have loved to have a proper port of Legends of the Multiverse. And the same thing goes for Rayman Mini, because that game hasn't gotten any updates. It's a long time ago, but it cannot be trapped over there. Legends of the Multiverse is quite forgotten, and from the looks of it, there doesn't seem to be any plans. Not only from the looks of it, what we've been informed, there doesn't seem to be any more plans for any major updates or any big port work or anything, because, well, the Nine seems to have moved on to other projects. We talked about that in the Ubisoft The Nine video. They worked on the mobile port of Prince of Persia: The Last Crown, and they're most likely going to be working on another different title by now, but we hope that changes. Well, and that will be the end of our entire discussion. We just wanted to talk about some quick Rabbid topics that we couldn't fit in one video without sounding very redundant. We just wanted to throw it all over there, and, well, we'd like to hear what you got to say, folks. Let's see how history changes in the coming months. Most likely, we won't be here to see it, but hey, let's see how it goes. Thanks once again for coming. we'll see you around in all the other videos that we are preparing, the final videos that we're preparing. And with nothing else to say, we say goodbye and we'll see you around.